I call the town of Saratoga board meeting, open session. Please stand and say pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. All right. 2 items out of the way. How good is that, right? Updates since the previous meeting, Constable. Did we get a report? Okay. Building inspector, we have Josh's report in front of us. Anyone have any questions for Josh? I'm going to make one comment. Item number 8 will be off the agenda due to the fact that Josh is our building inspector, and this gentleman has requested to live in a travel trailer, I believe, or something that,
I don't think that's the same one.
Okay.
We don't want on Oak Street.
okay.
This one, there's a primary residence there. He just wants to demo it after he's done building.
Oh, yes, you're correct.
And if he needs a permit first, I'll let him know. I'm under the impression that maybe he doesn't.
No, I think that was my fault, Josh. I misrepresented this situation because I thought it was the same gentleman who had approached me to live in a travel trailer
Okay.
while he built the house. So this is a different, so we will continue with that.
I think he said that he did stop down.
Did. I talked to a couple people a day, so. All right. Anybody else have anything? All right, moving on, zoning administrator, that would be Boz. I talked to Boz just a little while ago. He had a prior engagement with the village of Port Everett, so he will not be in attendance tonight. He will, if you want to talk to him, be in attendance at the plan commission meeting next week. And I'm hoping to have him in attendance for our very last meeting with us, with the town board the following week. What's the date following week?
Our next meeting, it is the 19th of July.
Okay, so that tells me he will not be there. But just to let everyone know, Boz is leaving, and I want to have everybody know that we appreciated all his service to the town. He really helped a lot with the plans, the comprehensive plan. He helped the plan commission immensely, and he's moving to Florida. So we should all be a little jealous come winter. But that being said, he's leaving and he'll be gone as of the 15th. So we are looking for someone right now. We've had a couple applicants. So we will be touching base with them too in the future. Moving on, road crew, Caston and Doug. Who wants to talk first? Caston.
Nothing really to report, but I did talk to the county about that roller, the 1-ton roller and trailer. They said they would be ready for around 2,000. So.
What do you think of that price for the road? What do you think of that price for the road?
That's not, them things, maybe we gotta find a new one.
Okay.
Well, it would be a lot higher than that. They're about 30, 35.
Yeah,
No, it's a small one.
they come with a trailer.
Come with the trailer.
Not the one we have here, they'd rather give us different.
Caston, can you tell everybody out there what this roller will do for the town?
What it'll do is allow us to do more hot patches if needed in the town. So if we have sections of road, smaller sections that need to be repaired, we can cut the asphalt out, throw some hot mix in there, and then we can roll it ourselves, which would save us money, not having to hire it out to the county or someone else. Also with some cold patch areas too, we could roll some cold patch, and that would also fix some smaller holes and help that out. But it'd just be nice to have one of those instead of hiring it out every time.
And how much was that?
About 2,000. They're not super firm on the price, so they might come down.
I can't hear what he's saying about the price.
Oh, he said it would be about 2,000. He's not sure exactly how much. So it would be something that we would
We could probably talk them down a little bit more.
Yeah, and we would take a look at. It depends on how much money I think that we would be saving the town. That's something we would have to take into consideration. And with it has to be pulled behind something, correct?
No, the roller drives itself.
It drives
Yeah,
itself.
you just haul it on a trailer
Okay,
wherever you.
okay. So did you hear that?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
I understood that.
All right, great. Doug,
One thing with that, it's pretty unique that they can get asphalt close to the township, so it's a good thing to do that.
Well, I agree. I just wondered, I couldn't hear what it
no,
was.
that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You're totally fine.
AC going.
I have my phone's on because it's. Is it on? Is it on?
Yeah, it sounds like we can hear you.
Okay. Everybody can hear me. I have a big mouth. Okay. Um,
I got a few.
okay, Douglas, go ahead, please.
Okay, tentative dates. Range Line Road, they're gonna start putting gravel on it either the 10th or the 11th of this month. Pulverizing shortly after that, both to the 13th. Talked to the county engineer on that. Seal coating, talked to Jim. They're talking the week of the 23rd. Seal cut roads and dips.
Thank you.
And dips, we plan on starting them the last week in July. So
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah. Is that chip seal? Chip seal?
yeah, chip seal on it. That's all.
All right. So basically, you're telling us they're starting the 10th of July for Range Line?
Yes, they'll start hauling gravel on, they're gonna haul, their loads are gonna come in on Blue Ridge and exit out through, they're gonna run the roads that are loaded on Blue Ridge, and everything else is going out.
And the road will still be open, it'll just be sometimes one lane. Okay.
What was the date for paving on that?
I didn't get anything on that, I would imagine it's shorter than that, the last time I talked to Roland, he thought it would be early August or shortly after they do it.
Talking it'll be gravel for 3-4 weeks, something there.
Yeah,
So if you're using Range Line, you're gonna have a gravel road from the 10th to probably the end of the month?
that's correct.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Doug? Caston? Okay. Thank you. Brian, you wanna go get them?
Don't we have more microphones somewhere else?
Anybody can take one. Moving on to committees, plan commissions. Josh?
We're. Agenda item number 20 is what we're going through today. Plan commission, that's where we're at.
All right, thank you. And just so you know, agenda item number 20 is comprehensive plan. We reviewed it as town board. We went through, made a few minor alterations. We overwhelmingly accepted it, and we will be signing the paper to accept it tonight. That's for the comprehensive plan. And going on to 21, we are going to review. It says review and possible adoption, but I can tell you right now, there will be no adoption of the zoning ordinance tonight. We are not going to have the meeting go any longer than 2 hours, just for the sake of everybody keeping their wits about them. And if you go longer than that, I feel like it just doesn't accomplish anything. So we'll continue the meeting, and I'll let you know when by the end of this meeting. We'll see how much we've got to go. So that's also what the planning commission went through. They've given it to us, to the board. So, and they don't want it back. So we are going to do our best. Moving on to the clerk.
Lots of new.
Paulette's overworked, very tired. I work her to the bone. Oh, goodness. Today especially. Treasurer, I'm sorry to announce that Billy Joe is off. Family Medical. She should be back with us next meeting. So we all wish her luck. And moving on, informational announcements by board members. We'll start at that end. We'll start with Brian today.
I have nothing to add. I've been, I guess, I have been contacted by a couple citizens of Saratoga about the bait shop at it's at 73 in Hollywood, about the flag being in their way. I did send the constable over there to talk to him. He said he'd move it. The last time I went by, I don't think it moved very far at all, so at my other job, I might stop by and have a move it far.
We would appreciate that.
Is that flag in the right of way, do you think?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Or DOT?
Okay.
We'll get it moved.
And they'll send you out anyways.
Yeah, they're gonna send you anyway.
That's it. Thank you.
He's the quietest member of this whole board, I'll tell you that. Oh, no, Josh is pretty quiet.
I have nothing. I took a couple of calls, but we took care of it.
Great, thank you.
Nothing to report.
Roger,
So there's a few things that we can discuss. I guess we've been in touch with Alliance and Solar Benches that they will provide for the town. There's a couple places that we can put them, probably in the Wakely area. We've been in contact with them. And also the boat landing area down by Romano's. So those, we need to come up with a couple other details, color. We know how to mount them. And there would be a slight cost with a concrete slab that they be set on. So we'll have to have discussion in that regard. There's some other conversation going on some of the other projects potential projects that we could do in the town. We need to decide as a board how we're gonna handle that with the citizens-based committee through the plan commission and with the support of the town board. If there's any questions in that regard, I guess, would you like to know what they are? What's being discussed?
please do. Please
Okay.
tell me.
So one of the things that we discussed is the old town hall building. Well, first of all, the sign out in front of the town hall. Gordy and I, along with Lorelei, we've been in contact with a sign designer out of Madison, and they've given us some details, and Gordy also has done some legwork on design, and so we need to revisit that and move forward on expenditures. Alliant will kick in $15,000 towards that sign for us, and we need to pin down what exactly it's gonna cost to do that. Another part that we've discussed is the Wakely area, moving the old town hall out of there with, the right funding, whether it's grant funding or a donation from other people of the community. The solar bench that I just referenced down in the boat landing area, putting the solar bench down there. There's talk of putting a handicap dock down in that area. If, so potentially we need to discuss that this next week with Wisconsin River Power Company supervisor. And there's, some other things that potentially we could do with some idea generation and, with the support of funding. And if I'm correct, Lorelei, there's $45,000 that is going to be allocated for some of the recreational projects in the town.
We have left.
Okay, so with that being referenced, is the Turtle Bay project going to be decided by the end of the month, if that's going to move forward, or if that's a done project,
That's where the money would be coming from, yes.
all of the 45,000?
Yes.
Okay, so those are some of the things that are being discussed, and we'll, we'll bring some more information back to the plan commission on the 12th and have discussion with potentially what we can do with some members and bring it back, committee, members out of the community as a committee, and bring it back to the plan commission, and then bring it back to the board, then we'll decide what we're gonna do. Does that all make sense?
Yep.
Is there any questions at all? Any clarification?
Well, I'd just like to add, Roger, that you are on that committee, Christie is, and I don't know if you're on the committee or just helping, but regardless, these three people are here, they're very knowledgeable. We need more help in the community, so if there's anybody out there who's interested in helping, please do so. We are going to approach the UTV ATV Club, some other, maybe Wakely, some representative of a club, just to have more input into this. And what we're kind of looking for is just brainstorming, bring it to the plan commission with an idea, the cost, get it going. The plan commission takes a look at it, sees if it's viable, then they send it on to the board for approval. So that's kind of how we want to work this. Or that was my way that I thought it would work. However, if they have another way, they're meeting Monday and they'll bring it back to the board for another look at it. And I would also like to kind of step on Roger's toes, if I might, because he called me while I was off for the 4th, and we had a discussion about some grants that were available. And he put it in my head that there was a grant available. It's through Wood County, and it's an economic grant. However, when I looked into it, it would apply to signage if it's worded correctly. The downside of it is that it's due Friday. So I spent the last 2 days writing a grant. And I will be submitting it to Wood County on Friday with the help of a grant writer at no charge. And she's going over it right now. And it will pay for, I have asked for $30,000. $5,000 will be given by the town for the electrical hookup, and $15,000 is coming from a liner. So we would be on the hook for $5,000 or the electrical, whichever the cost is. And my thinking is the cost might not be $5,000 because I think we can tie into that pole out there. So, Roger, thank you for giving me the idea, and hopefully we'll get one.
Well, Lorelai, I don't look at it as stepping on my toes or anybody else's toes. That's why we all work together, and I just shared that with you, and I appreciate you looking into it, taking care of it.
I appreciate you letting me know.
That's for the sign, I believe.
Yep.
So,
Definitely for the sign. And I did have to have it in on Friday, so I did send it to a friend who is a grant writer, and she will review it. Thank you. All right, you're next, Jay.
I really don't have much that's not gonna be on the agenda later, contacting you guys about
I'm disappointed. You usually talk so much.
that's all right.
All right, let's see. I think we got number 4 out of the way. Number 5, approval of previous minutes. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes? They're kind of short and sweet.
All three at the same time or separate motion?
I think we should do them in separate motions.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for June 21st.
I have a motion by Chase, a second by Josh. All in favor, say aye. All again? Motion approved. Okay, moving on to June 26th. That was
No, that was our planning meeting.
that was our planning meeting. That was where we just kind of brainstormed.
Make a motion to approve the June 26th meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Josh, a second by Roger. All those in favor? All those against? Motion carried. And the last meeting, that was for the comprehensive plan. On June 28th, Wednesday. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve for June 28th meeting.
I have-
motion.
I have a motion by Chase, a second by Roger. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. All right. We're moving right along here. All right, now we did talk about this a while ago. This is a quote for that. It's called the 3CX cloud phone system. And that was where people would call in instead of getting a recording that I'm sorry, someone's not available, you would be asked to talk to some person. So press 1 for Lorelei, press 2 for Chase, etc. It also would be that we would get this phone call on our own phone so that we could answer it even when we're not here in the office. And that is one thing the citizens of Saratoga were concerned about, that we were not readily available. We didn't hold regular office hours. Although lately that's not been true. So that being said, we had asked our IT gentleman to show us how it works. Today we received a link, to review this, and I did not have the opportunity to do that. I don't know if anybody else has had that opportunity because we're all at work. So my suggestion is that we table this until we do have the opportunity to review this. Is that okay with everybody?
I think that's a better idea.
Okay, I will personally make a motion to table this until the next meeting, so that we all have a chance to listen to the what is it, a recording?
It's a link to YouTube and kind of just explain some of the features, but there's a lot more that this phone system can do than what's highlighted on the video. So even if you just search that 3CX, you'll find all kinds of videos. Okay. A lot.
Video, pretty broad video, it's kind of a.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to table it until the next meeting.
Before we do that, I
Okay.
do just want to make sure this code is still going to be good, that line, timeline. I don't see anything on here, but,
Oh, I did ask that.
30 days.
No, he said it would be fine. I did ask that.
All right, then, it's
Okay. So we'll table it until the 19th, please? Yep. Thank you.
a motion or.
Yes, we would need a motion to do that.
You did that until 19th?
Yes.
I'll second.
Motion made by myself, seconded by Josh. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. I'm not sure that we needed that because
I don't think we actually did.
But- we might as well. Okay, we have a concrete waiver for Howard Joling, 1132 Nature's Way. Did you find any issues with that, Casson?
No.
You good? Any discussion on that?
Make a motion to approve the concrete waiver for Howard Building at 1132 Nature's Way.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. All right, I will sign that.
We'll be released.
Okay.
The rest of the job, you can send all the rest, please.
And just for you out there that want to know what this means is, when someone puts concrete in the road right away, between the road and where the right of way ends, our snowplows could possibly hit it and break the snowplow, or we could tear it up, damage it. So we don't want to be liable for that. So we ask them to sign a waiver. And that waiver comes to the board because in some instances, it could be on towards a highway or towards a culvert, or it has some other encumbrances. So they just come here for a cursory inspection. make sure everybody's okay. All right, Carter Jays. This is the gentleman we're talking about. Wants to live in his house while he builds another house. He has 2 years to build a new dwelling according to Department of Safety and Professional Services. He's asking to live in his old house on the same lot. We've done this before with a timeline. So most people can finish a house in 2 years. However, being this day and age where materials are hard to get, I would be cautious to tell him that we would only allow him the 2 years. I would say we would allow him the 2 years and then revisit it in 2 years if he is not complete. So that's my story.
Basically giving an option to extend.
Yes.
Or request an extension.
Yes, I would just be aware that he potentially might. And he is building it himself. And by code, you can do that. So I would need a motion.
Does the building inspector just keep it on them to make sure it's to code or?
Yes, yes. See, he would inspect it the same way he would inspect a contractor doing it. And I'll tell you, from experience, a homeowner is usually a little more, a little better than a contractor, because the contractor knows how much he can give without it hurting anything. Where a homeowner,
Builds itself.
yeah, they want it built right. It's their house. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, is there a starting date for him to start?
Not until we approve this.
But.
Yes, his starting date will be when he takes out his physical permit for his house.
I'll make a motion to, this is building permit.
Yes,
Make a motion to approve a building permit for Carter Jakes at 10017 Butler Road with the, opportunity to extend if needed.
How long of an extension are we looking?
I would not even voice that, tell you the truth. I would just be aware of it in your mind that this is happening. This is a time that some windows, if they're black windows, just to use that for an example, they were taking up to a year to get, just because of the black framed window. So that will hold up a project considerably. And being that he's building it himself, I'm just saying, he didn't ask for it.
If you don't need that in motion, then I'll amend that motion to approve the building request for Carter Jakes at 10017 Butler Road.
No, he gets some.
While allowing him to live in his current home on the parcel.
I did have one, if I could ask one question.
Yes, Bruce?
How long does he have after he gets the house built to tear down the old one?
We would put that in his permit, but it's usually within 30 days. It depends. So if it's in the winter, we would give him until spring. I mean, we have to take in consideration a time frame. Yeah. Yeah, usually it's 30 days, but we can work with him. So Josh made a motion.
I'll second.
Motion seconded. Did you get the motion? Okay, Paula?
And it's got the verbiage in it that you can live in the house until
Yep, yeah. For 2 years, from the day he takes out the building. Second by Chase. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Usually, people ask to live in a camper while they're building their house, or they ask to bring on a mobile home or a travel trailer while they're building their house and then remove it. But in this instance, he's giving us a higher tax base by putting in a new home, and we'll give him leniency to do that, so. All right. Business permit for Seafood Shack, Roger Peterson, setting up at 9051 Highway 13 South. A
No
lot of
relation.
A lot of people have seen this gentleman, I'm sure, at farmers markets He has an insulated truck and he sells seafood out of it. And he also asked to sell vegetables from CD Acres when it becomes available. And he is selling in that field next to the sign of Misty's. Do you know where that big sign is? Or it's not
Next to
Misty's,
Osborne's.
Osborne's, in that field there. I seen him there yesterday. So there is a driveway you can pull in, you're completely off the street. You can park next to the truck and you can get, fresh, and not fresh, frozen seafood.
So it's just
It's just a,
temporary tent.
it's temporary, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Chase, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Roger, all those in favor?
I,
All those against? Motion carried. Now we can have fresh shrimp and lobster, we'll be having a party. All right. Review of the dog ordinance. Okay, now, we've had a lot of trouble with this dog ordinance because I got involved. So I backed out and deferred to Brian and to Brandon. And they wrote an ordinance with the review done by our attorney. And it looks pretty darn good. Did everybody have a chance to read it over?
with this new ordinance, I only wanted the constable to be in charge. But after speaking with the attorney, we also included the roadman.
Lucky you.
Nice.
So with that in mind too, I think it would be a good idea if we do go ahead with this for safety issues, I guess, look at 2 dog catch poles. One with the constable, one we could have at the shop here, so that if something does happen where the constable's not available, that way we would have something to help.
About some bite protection for arms or something.
Nah. I've used it before. If I can do it, you can do it.
All right, I'll do my best.
So the, just to review this, the attorney said this was fine, because when I read the state statute, I thought it said that the chairman has to do this too.
We can appoint somebody.
Okay.
And that's why
Oh,
we
no, I'm fine with
appointed.
It comes down to the chairman's responsibility, but that can also be pushed off onto other ones. There's some towns that actually hire a dog catcher. Have a contract with a dog catcher.
I'm fine with it if Gaston's fine with it.
I can handle it.
Yes?
Right underneath that, it's in, section 9, letter B, it says that anybody may take into custody and restrain a dog. So that would include the chairperson.
Okay.
Now, one thing with this, do we have a way to transport the dog?
Dump truck.
And that's from the hours of 8 to 8. We would contact the Humane Society who would come and pick them up.
Okay. Well, if we're expecting our guys to do it, I'm wondering if we don't need to get some dog kennel we can strap into the back of the.
I
one-ton
know
or
we
something.
do have plastic kennels within the cage kennels out there. I don't remember if they have to go on the truck.
Maybe,
Like
I mean,
those
that'd
those little plastic ones, like
be a
roll
cheap
back and
investment
pick up or
to
something.
do something with, because
I'll
we
have
need
to
to do
confirm
this. I don't think you want it riding possum.
Not strapped
As long as it's between 8 and 8, you can catch it and tie it up to the tree or wherever you caught it and it'll come to that tree.
Okay, so he just needs to restrain.
Right.
But after that, then we need to keep it overnight somewhere.
Right. If it's like
So this is
30.
only if somebody calls about a dog, right?
Right.
But if I see one just running on the road.
You didn't see it.
Well, I do see it all the time. Dog-
I don't know if you guys know Trent Miner, he's the
Yeah.
town, or the county clerk. He gave me advice, but I won't share it with you guys.
Well, that's not nice, Brian.
What we're recording and I gave his name, so I'm gonna use it.
I actually did go out on one of these one time. I got
The
called.
three S's?
I got called to catch a dog. I got there and I waited and waited and waited and I seen no dog. So I guess I did my due diligence. However, you know, it's a shame when you see a dog running at large, especially if it gets hit by a car. You really do want to do something. It's not their fault that they were let run at large, to be honest. No. You have a pet, you should take responsibilities, I guess. All right,
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve this with the understanding that we will buy dog catching poles and a kennel that can be put in the back of for transportation if needed. It's after hours. So, keep those two caveats out, or I'll
make motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Chase, seconded by Josh to approve the ordinance with the additional purchase of 2 poles and a kennel.
Is there any other equipment they might need to be out there, or?
Taser?
Goodness gracious.
Never know.
Okay,
Brandon's my dad.
do,
Yeah, dump truck.
all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
All those against? Motion carries. Poor dog.
I'd just like to say, don't put yourself in harm's way, who's ever gonna catch these dogs.
True that. How many of us have been bitten, right? Review bids for parking lot maintenance, heat patching, crack sealing, seal coating, and line striping. As you all know, the helicopter lands here periodically, and we really need to keep this in good repair. So before it really gets bad, we got some estimates, and by saying we, I mean Chase. And we'll take a look at those right now.
We did put it on the paper for 1 week as required for quotes. No calls from anybody, the ones I contacted. So there's 2 quotes, one from SSI, and they're out of Lake Delton, Wisconsin Dells, and then one from A1, which is out of Kellner area. So essentially what it involves is between about 15 to 20 heat patches that level up some spots that
Chase, can you use the mic?
that would involve 15 to 20 heat patches that would level up some spots out in the parking lot, hit some spots back by the salt shed, and also that would actually hit a couple spots on the pavement over by the shop there. Then after that, they'd be crack filling, and that would be just the front parking lot and the newer pavement in the back, followed by a seal coat. And that would be, again, just the newer sections. The lot over by the shop is not in very good condition, and unfortunately can't really seal. And then repainting of all the stripes. So SSI came in at $15,895 to do all that, and A1 came in at $17,750.
All right, is there any discussion by the board?
So what do you know about SSI? What do we know about SSI?
As a contract of work with roads, I subcontract with them, and I've actually worked with A1, both of them. SSI does good work. They work for the village of Port Edwards, quite a bit up by Wausau. They just did some striping for Town of Clover. They work for the city of Adams. As far as A1, they're relatively local. He's backing off on a lot of things, but he's still doing this stuff here. I'd say they're both, in my opinion, reputable. And just because I have worked with both of these, just so everybody's aware, I will not be voting on this. I'm recusing myself as far as making any decisions.
Okay, I see on this bid from SSI that they call out that they're using two color handicap for handicap parking for the ADAs. And they also are including the helipad circle in different colors.
Yes, and that's gonna have to be clarified, because after I got this, we had found out we need to keep that helipad circle in yellow. So,
Okay,
we could choose to do white lines and then do a helipad in yellow, or we could just keep it all.
okay.
But we could do it either, but I will, if we accept one, we'll have to just make it clear with them. That needs to stay.
Okay, and I see with E1, it says the DOT recommended latex yellow and white paint, but it doesn't mention anything about doing the ADA compliant. Was that included in that?
Well, I had mentioned it, he said that wouldn't be a problem, so, but it is not. So,
Well, it does say DOT recommended the line striping is done. My assumption is that they would do it, but yeah, you feel that both of these companies are comparable and that they are both well versed in their trade. I don't have a problem.
one thing I will note, when I had Randy from SSI out here to look at it, he actually mentioned that all of our handicap parking signs are out of compliance as well, so we will need to replace those. They don't have the verbiage on them for, it's required by the state.
Okay, we'll make a note of that. Please, Paula. We'll check it. Those are the signs that are on the wall and on the posts.
Yes, and they said neither one of them were in full compliance. The ones on the building were a little closer. Because they
Yes.
did have some of the verbiage, but not quite what
These,
Wisconsin State.
yeah. These I knew weren't because they don't have the verbiage of the state statute or ordinance. One, that surprised me. So I guess I would need a motion or, yes, sir.
What's the availability of each one?
To be honest, I'm not sure exactly. I know he's been getting things fairly quickly with SSI. And he had mentioned in August, but it could also be at separate times. He may come in and do deep patches. That, and I'm not sure at all. But usually they stop doing this type of sealer and around the end of August or September. It is an evaporative year, so it's something once you get late in the year, it's hard to do.
So, have you had any dealings with this asset?
I, both of them, they're both about the trades. That, the usual market.
SSI is actually using the coal tar, and A1 uses either coal tar or coal tar does tend to last quite a bit longer. There is some concerns if it's a lot of small children present, outside apartment complexes, but I don't think that's
Playgrounds?
something, playgrounds. But I don't think that's something that really does apply in this case.
There was somebody else,
Do either one of the applicants have any warranty dates of standing on your work?
yes. Oh, yeah. It says insured quality work, guaranteed terms, yeah, well, that's, I think that's on the money.
So
And to be honest, we don't get guaranteed on those.
there is mention of copy this contract and contractor's warranty. Does not say what it is, but in general, most things with road work or anything like this, your warranty basically goes a year.
It looks like they all carry insurance.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. They're gonna-
Yeah. I mean, $5 million liability, $1 million.
Well, and A1's pretty local, kind of working, probably a 40-mile radius. SSI works in 3 or 4 states. A little bigger, but
time availability? Are they both on, can they both do it on a timely basis?
Both of them mentioned there was no problem fitting.
Anyone else? Questions in the audience? Okay. Need a motion from the table?
That's a. Exactly what I was thinking.
What are you thinking?
I was thinking that, if we're gonna spend money, he's $2,000 higher, but he's local. I would just see what they want.
Okay, A1 is out of Wisconsin Rapids on 80th Street, and SSI is out of Wisconsin Dells. SSI is 15,800. A1 is 17,700, a difference of about $2,000 approximately.
SSI says 15 to 20 patches, A1 says 24 patches.
Okay.
That's the difference I seen, so I don't know how much each patch is.
195 each.
195 and 200 for, I thought he had it listed on here. Well, I know SSI is around $200 per patch. They're pretty comparable in price per patch. An extra 4 patches.
20 patches before.
Yeah. So we're at a difference of $1,200 with the extra 4 patches.
Approximately, yeah, if you want to look at it like that, yes. This money would probably be used out of the ARPA funds that we received from COVID relief.
And I would suggest put that rate in motion.
So I make a motion to contract out to A1 Services for the quote and use ARPA monies available to cover the bill.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I have a first by Roger, a second by Josh, all in favor? Aye. Chase abstained due to conflict of interest. And so state that it's using ARPA money, please. All right, that's said and done. Moving on.
So,
Yes,
this question, ARPA funds, you have to justify why you chose A1 over SS,
we can do it due to,
but I think you have to justify.
Under the
Go ahead.
original rules, you did have to. Right, with the rules that are currently under, that really shouldn't be in effect.
we'll double check it though, just to make sure.
Yeah, we can double check it, but,
Yeah, you might want to do that, otherwise your funding won't work.
Okay.
And justify.
well, with the,
They'll see the bid process and
Right.
they'll wonder why you.
well, and if anything you do under the revenue loss calculation, which you actually don't even have to calculate anymore, you actually just follow any state requirements, which we are by getting quotes. It's under 25, put it in the paper for a week, so it shouldn't, but we can always double check that.
And we did all this, bringing out into the public just for transparency, so everybody knew what we were doing. We didn't have to, but this way everybody knows where their money's going. Okay? Yes.
Motion okay? Or should
Yes.
it be amended
Nope.
at all? or-
Okay.
If for some reason there's a fund thing, we can make this stuff.
We'll do that.
I think it's not what it is.
All right. Approve purchase the dollar amount for road crew to purchase a toolbox, shelving tools, and storage. Again, Chase, you were working with the road crew on this, correct?
Talked a little bit, you know what your budget's gonna need to be for,
Well, shelving, I'd like $1,000. I wouldn't use all that, but $1,000 for shelving, $5,000 for a toolbox. And that's really all we need right now. That's all we really have room for.
money for a toolbox. I think that's a lot of money for a toolbox.
Well, it depends on what we're gonna be looking for.
Yeah.
Probably not a lot.
If
You don't
it's
think
a,
so?
if it's a quality one, a brand new, mid-range Snap-on, not even high-end, it's about $8,000. Or,
Probably more than that.
well, I went over and I talked to Chris across the street, checked, he said, just got his opinion on it, and he had said that it'd be right around that, or the 4 to 6 foot, somewhere in there. With,
Some of the bigger toolboxes are around 60 grand.
But we
Oh,
are
yeah,
looking for
yeah.
used.
Yeah.
but
You can buy a new Milwaukee for about $1,200 and throw a kennel in, that'd be 15. Just kidding.
There you go.
I don't know what you guys think, but Milwaukee is
I guess Josh,
more of a consumer grade, but yeah, you're in this industry.
Higher quality toolbox, the better, but I don't think that we need to go like Snap-on macro quality in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Unless you can find a good use.
If you could find a good used one, they're probably out there, we could call the like Snap-on guy and macro guy and see what they have for used, like trade-in box.
Chris actually called for us to Snap-on, because they're having a toolbox sale right now. This was a week ago, but he, I think it was Thursday when he called last week, and they did not have any used ones available at the time. But, because that was his thoughts, might have been the right timing for that, maybe, used, that they were taking in on trade. But, at that point, they did not have any used ones.
One thing about like Harbor Freight or Home Depot, or I don't know what the warranty is on Milwaukee boxes, but like Macro and Snap-on are lifetime warranty rollers. The drawer rollers are lifetime warranty, push it says. You get what you paid for. I think at $5,000 a little bit high. What we need in the shop, I think.
Well, that's what he's asking, we can always cap it a little lower, and try to find something in that range.
Wrong with that.
anybody else, or anything? Say about Roger?
Just make sure you get something that's gonna support the way of the tools. Josh says better slides on it. I mean, we can make a motion up to 5,000. And shop around with it.
Yeah, or even up to 4,000 if you don't want to go that high.
You're not very good at negotiating, are you?
No. I don't like spending money, so.
Well, do we want to make a motion along with that it needs to be something with lifetime warranty and
Used one wouldn't give you a lifetime warranty.
well, Snap, I believe a used Snap-on, they still actually stand behind.
I bought my Macro used in Bill warranty.
But the higher end ones generally do, even on the used market. So if you get a Milwaukee used, but I don't think they're going to.
What kind of shelving are you looking for?
Actually, just like the shelving we put in the basement, that heavy duty husky shelving. Just 2 of those. That'd be great.
Now, you had talked about some cabinets before too, did that?
Yeah, I don't think we can make it work now. I mean, all of our wall space is pretty much gone. I can make a little bit of room for the shelving we want again. But other than that, it's really all we can fit.
What would you be utilizing the shelving for?
Tools, filters for the trucks, right there,
Storage of
parts, yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot of things to do for it.
Can I ask where you keep your paint and your gasoline, your oils? You keep them in,
Yeah, in a large
Cabinet?
metal cabinet.
Fire,
okay,
Okay, that is fire rated.
yeah.
yeah, the yellow one, that's the
Yes.
Will you? Okay. All right, I guess, any other
Oh,
comments by the citizens? None, okay.
Make a motion to approve $1,000 on the shelving. Second one.
I actually was just thinking of a motion that we cap the shelving and toolbox at like 5,000.
We'll have them together.
Oh, that's probably a good idea.
That way, if the toolbox is a little bit more, the shelving's a little bit less, just cap it at 5,000 or 5,500. Take care of the shelving.
Specify,
Well, and if he finds the toolbox that he wants and it's 5,500, then shelving's out, or at least only one shelf.
Yeah. We'll be getting a little.
What's your motion?
5,500, you said? Motion to cap the shelving and the toolbox at 55.
Second motion.
Yeah, I have a motion from Chase, a second from Roger. All in favor, say aye. All those again? Motion carried. List of unutilized equipment on the auction site. That's probably my wording, so sorry about that. I didn't know how else to word it. Stuff we don't use anymore that's still of value to someone else.
Which auction site are we looking at? Wisconsin surplus? I think that would get us the best price we've ever seen.
That's what we've done in the past, right?
I'm Wisconsin surplus.
Okay, what do we have that we're gonna sell?
We have a pool.
Yeah, an 86 Ford repair truck. We can't hear.
The 86 Ford patrol truck, that'd be the plowing truck, dump truck. What else?
Nothing we agreed on yet, but I don't think we need the dozer. I mean, it's nice to have it if you do need it, but I think if we keep the second motor, the old motor, we could justify getting rid of the old dozer
How often is that those used?
once, but that was before we had two dozers. And once since I've been here in the last few years.
Doug, what's your thoughts on that?
Doug, you got the history, yeah, what's your thought?
I would get rid of the water. I just been around, some of that stuff sits, and you end up with dead batteries, flat tires, all of that, you run it, comes the price, have you used it much this year?
No, but we will be for this.
Yeah, once a year.
I make sure I run it about once every couple of months.
That's my concern with it, there's some value in that thing right now. I think you can get pretty good money out of it, down the road you won't. And if you had my thoughts are, if you had a project, rent, if you had a project where you truly needed two loaders, you can do that. I know that loader's in pretty thick, the old case that we were.
I think it's like 92 or something.
It's in really good shape.
It is very restrictive.
Okay, so let me understand this, we have a dozer?
A dozer, which is very old. John Deere.
Now, Doug, are you talking getting rid of both the dozer and the loader then?
If they're not using the dozer, yes. I mean, they're two pieces of equipment that sit.
Yep.
I'm not sure the dozer, the last time, we used it one time,
No, that's
yeah, 2 years ago. Not very often, maybe once a year.
I don't think we've got much use, unless we're gonna do a lot of ditching somewhere or something. I don't see much use, and we'd probably hire that out.
What year is the dozer?
old, I don't know.
Old,
Probably 70.
older than dirt dozer, got it.
But, as far as, that second loader, how many times a year do you think you need two loaders?
And we need to at least once a year for the ditch. That's the only thing I can
About
remember.
it?
Yeah,
We could probably rent one from the county at that point.
unless if we had, well, we're actually
County
our loader haul.
They've, let us use other.
The new loader's going to Case next week to get the windshield repaired. And that'll be a time where we will use the old loader.
Right.
So when we do have the new one gone, not, okay, we'll go. It's nice to have that second one.
in some of them cases too, if you need gravel or sand, you can go to the county or someplace else for a couple of days to fill in and you need extra load. Because to me, it's an awful expensive machine to keep for a week, a year, or whatever it is.
At that point, I believe there was some discussion, we're not quite there yet, about happening more
No.
in the future. We could look at getting a loader for a larger tractor that could reach over the side.
How much would we get for that if we sold it?
The word?
Yeah.
I think it's long enough. I've been out of that a little bit, can't give you an honest answer. But
Give me a dishonest answer.
What year is that case?
I don't know for sure, but I think it's like a 92.
Okay. Grand Rapids just sold an old, I think it was like a payloader or up. I believe they got close to 20. So a newer loader than that, I'm guessing would be somewhere in the 30 range.
That'd be a nice, nest egg for that truck that we're gonna have to get in 5 or so years.
Well, the truck we get, we'll get rid of on the old truck. We'll be getting rid of another patrol truck.
Then a bigger nest egg.
And I was thinking about the trucks too. One of them, well, on that subject, Catherine and I talked today at Jackson. Some of them trucks have double frames on them. We have one, the 85 has a double frame, the 05, and the 03 has a single frame on it. The problem with that is we put a new engine in the 05. But the 03 still runs well. Just my thoughts on that are, if you're gonna get rid of the pro truck, get rid of the 05 and the double frame. Because that'll be problems anyway.
You know what, Doug, I can't even hear you now.
Well, it's
So
just
you
the way it
said-
is.
You said the double frame,
They have a double frame on.
What it does is it traps in the salt
Yeah,
water and eats away at that.
but I didn't hear what came after that. So your thoughts would be to get rid of,
The 05.
okay,
The problem with that is it has a new engine in the 05.
okay.
But the frame is a bigger issue than the new engine. The 03 runs good. It just has a better frame underneath it for what we're doing.
And you're not talking about getting rid of that now, right?
No,
And we don't put that many miles on.
And I will say that 05 has been more of a problem child between the two. The 03 has less issues.
As far as mechanical,
Yes,
what kind of engine? Cummins and,
both coming, I believe.
no, international.
Yeah, I think they're international.
Oh, the new one.
What I would do is take some of that money that you're going to gain from the project, put it in a box on the 03. You can buy a used box of stainless steel if you look around, you can find them. And just put it in the box on it. That truck's in pretty good shape.
So since our last meeting, I did a little bit of history on how much we've invested into the 03 and the 05. And the amount of money that we've spent in maintenance and repairs is significantly less than the new truck, obviously. As much as I'd love to see all 3 brand new trucks here, the money just doesn't justify it. I don't know how many miles we put on a year of each truck, but I think we hang on to the 03 and the 05 yet. The main truck is a new one. The other two doesn't look as nice as this new one, but I think they're serving a purpose. And I think we can still maintain it for a couple of years, and still be money ahead.
And while you're doing that, just keep an eye out for a box for the 03. That truck will last a long time. It only has maybe about 100,000 miles, which isn't a lot.
that's what you said.
I'd say between 5,000 and 10,000 miles a year.
Yeah, that's not. Okay, I would defer to your superior intelligence, that's your field, you do that every day, so.
Is that
Maybe
the
that's-
3
Are we all
pieces of
stopping
equipment
here?
you're looking at?
Yeah, let's make a decision. What's going on here?
For selling?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be the old loader, dozer, and the floor.
That's right.
What's your guys' thought on that second quote?
I think we've got a 2021 motor that works just fine. If we have to run it back to the yard to get a load, we just run it back to the yard.
And one thing about the loader, Jackson, you can check around for prices on the loader. We can put a minimum on that. We don't get what we want for it and keep it in price, how we get it.
Now, on that note, do you have any opinion about town employees purchasing the equipment? I know there's a lot of communities that do not allow it. I actually think it's fine.
I would say as long as they follow the bidding process. You know, if anybody can go on Wisconsin surplus and buy anything, right?
I agree.
So if one of our employees ends up with our dozer, as long as they went through the bidding process, I'm fine.
I've had a lot of communities that I've worked with that have said that employees can't bid, so just want to make sure. So if that comes to pass, what do you guys want?
I think it comes down to the trust of the clerk not to open them.
No,
you
that's
don't-
online bidding.
you
We will have nothing to do with
Well,
bidding.
there you go.
You get, it goes online, people call in and bid on that, it just keeps going for so many days. And when it sells, you get the price that it sold for, the buyer has to give a percentage to Wisconsin
To the
Surplus.
Wisconsin
So
Surplus.
you don't have anything to do with that. It's-
There you go.
You get your check for the equipment and you move on.
Do we want to put a timeline that they would need to remove? Yeah, sometimes that's,
Most of the time, the bidding company says 30 days from closing date.
Yeah, they take care of all that. You just-
Right.
You just take, cast it around, go through what you need. You need to take pictures, send it to them. I think you have the contact information for them.
All that good.
Yeah. You know,
Sounds good?
So three pieces we got?
Yep, that's what I got.
The 70s dozer, the 90s loader, and the 86 Ford
Said that's a 70 something.
70s.
Okay. I just put older than dirt. All right, and then we're gonna have a minimum bid on that 92K. That lower. Yep, that sounds good.
The other stuff, the other two, we're not gonna get anything from them.
Okay, and then, as you say, we'll put that money into the account and, decide at a, or do you want to decide now what it's gonna go for, another box for the
we've got an
three?
equipment fund.
Yeah, I would just-
think we just put it in our equipment fund.
Okay, sounds good. We need a motion on that?
Believe you me.
No, but I will make a motion to, send those three pieces of equipment. I don't know how to word it.
With a minimum bid on the loader as determined by the Public Works Department?
So, we were submitted to Wisconsin Surplus for bidding
For bid,
with a minimum, selling dollar amount on the loader.
as determined by head of Public Works and
I will second that.
all in favor? All against?
Good with that?
Paula?
Motion carried. Discussion on obtaining a mastic pot for Public Works Department.
Lorelei?
Yes, ma'am.
What is a mystic pot?
Mastic.
Mastic, what is it?
A mastic pot,
Mastic sealing is a product, when you go down a lot of our roads, you get every 50 feet or so, there's a pretty good bump from the crosstrack.
Yeah.
Mastic is used to put a band across that to help level some of that off.
you ever go down the road and see that white piece of toilet paper across?
Oh, yeah, that's it?
Yep.
Well, that would be crack filling, it's a similar process, but
Mastic is more permanent than patch material. When you put it in, it sticks.
Thank you.
it's a very durable material, so
Okay.
it stays a long time. And it's something that doesn't require a lot of labor, so our guys could handle it with just the two guys.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about this. So we have one that's available, Jay?
Yeah, a company I've worked with, they went out of, going out of business. They stopped doing crack filling and mastic and among a few other things. He's got one available. These are the pictures of it. I just got them today, otherwise I would have you guys get some packets. It's got about 3,000 hours on it, fairly decent shape, and he said he'd take 20 for it, 20,000. He also has some 2,500 pounds of material that he would let go for another 1,000, which usually by the material is about 65 and 70 cents a pound. $1,600 worth of rack or plastic material. I did call a second company just to get information, another guy I worked with, and they said, he said that sounded like a pretty good deal. He also had 2 others for sale that were a little newer. I don't have pictures of those, though. They did, he pointed out a Craigslist ad for that, but on there, they are in a little newer, but he wanted 25 for 2014 and 30,000 for 2015. I'm not sure what age this one is. I asked, he hadn't gotten back to me yet.
So Caston, do you do this, or would you do this a lot in the town?
I wouldn't say a lot, but yes, we definitely use as much as we can.
How much availability do you think you'd have to actually use this? Is it something you think you can get out?
Just us. I mean, we could probably put 4 weeks of use every year. 4 weeks of use, not like consecutively 4 weeks in a row.
Right.
Yeah, throughout the summer.
Maybe like a day a week or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I think you can make some pretty serious headway. Day a week doing something.
I think so, yeah. And that would be nice.
Who does it now? Does the county do it for the town?
We hire it out.
They will.
Okay.
We have not actually had any mastic done.
Mastic is what you're seeing on A Street. where
Yep.
they- That's what they're smearing around there.
Sure.
It's a good product,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about
Would it save our roads, Doug? I mean, would it save us from having to do something to our roads so quickly?
it. I think you can maintain, I don't know if you can save what we have.
You
It's
can,
just too many.
you can improve comfort.
It would have to, have to be some choices made, which ones you go after to try to keep them up. Out of our 94 miles of road, I bet you we've got 75 of those that are pretty badly dipped. You're not gonna fix them all, and not before they fall apart worse. So we'd have to kind of make some priorities, I think. As far as what we're going to, anything we're gonna chip seal for sure, we'd wanna hit that with to help level up the ride first.
So now we would have the machinery, but do we have the personnel? Can 2 people do this?
3 normally minimum.
Why 3?
Because you gotta have one drive, one of them they shoot, otherwise you dribble all over the road, and the other one is the smear and stuff.
Usually 3 would make it better, and I don't know if we wanna have the discussion of the next line item you got before we discuss this, because you
So-
got.
So, and with that, I like the method. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a great way to do things. My fear is, first of all, the resources to put it down. I'm not sure we have that. And the other, if you're gonna do cross cracks, you get into kind of a flagging situation, things like that. Now that requires more people because you're moving down the road. So you go from 3 at minimum just to do a patch to maybe 6 to do a mobile down the road, 6 people. That's probably minimum of 6 people.
A lot of times they'll do it half the road at a
Yeah,
time, so.
but you still have to keep the traffic on.
Right.
So you block it?
Yeah, you can block a lane. You probably could. And most people fly that. Because it pulls and then you keep moving forward. Otherwise, you gotta stop and move your car.
How long does it take to drive? That it's, you can drive it?
I would say within 15, 20 minutes, you
Oh,
could,
so,
probably could, it depends on the day. If you got a day that it's school, 15, 20 minutes. If it's hot, probably longer.
how much money will we save a year by doing this?
Depends on how much you use it.
In general, mastic is
It's expensive.
roughly $4.50 a pound to put down. And the cost of material is between 65 and 70 cents. So,
So if you get an 80,000, if you get a semi and uh, 40,000 pounds, so do the math on it. A load of that is,
Yeah, but then we would save,
how much patching do you do?
we would save quadruple.
semi cost would be 28,000. A 1,000 times 450 would be 180,000.
That's what we'd save if we did a semi-load of it, but that would take us a heck of a long time.
You probably-
Semi load would probably be 3 years worth.
They probably buy from the counter. If they had it out of stock, and sometimes they don't.
All right, yes, Bob?
I heard this discussion the last meeting, and I put some thought into it, talked to
Great.
some people that I knew
Great,
that had some information about
What
this.
you got?
Pretty much mirror what Doug has been saying. They do work for the county. They say it's a six-man project. County does with even more people because it's higher traffic areas, whatever. But it seems to me that we should actually, before we look at equipment, we should maybe figure out how many feet or how is it by the mile, and we figure what's our projected use of this? How much do we need it? I mean, right now, we're not doing.
Right.
So how much do we want to do each year?
exactly.
I mean, we should go out and figure out what the worst roads, ones need attention, ones that could use it, that'd be beneficial to use it. Have that number and then figure out how much it would cost to contract it out versus us doing it, or versus how much are we saving versus
And I
putting
really,
it out. We don't
I-
have any of that.
I agree with that, but I really think that we would use it had we have the manpower.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if we have the man. So maybe you're right. Maybe we do go on to a different item and then come back.
Well, your next item is dealing with possible manpower,
I've got one other thing. When we did the drive, and then we had mastic done there for crack level, and I can't remember the number that it cost us to do that.
That wasn't mastic on that.
No, probably not, but
That was.
similar process.
Similar process, not the same material.
They used a craft product.
Yeah, it was Crafco 540 they used on that.
But it's a similar product. You can do that with a contractor before you shoot for the road.
Yeah.
You could say, I want mastic, they'll come in and do that, and then you shoot it. So there are two ways you can do it. You can do it yourself, you have personnel, or you can contract.
Well, on the 1 mile of road that they have up there, of the church, that's on there, he give us a price, it was $4,400 to level those up.
Yeah, when you get personnel, they have something to do. It worked for us.
Right.
No, I think Matt, I applaud you for looking at the aspect, but I'm not sure we have the resources right now to do.
I personally would agree that with a two-man crew, we could not do it. So I guess I would be in favor of tabling it until maybe the end of the meeting and come back to discuss this before the zoning, not to the end of the meeting. Before item number 21.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Then we'll move on. All right. Is that okay with all you guys? All right. So let's go on and discuss number 15, hiring a part-time Public Works Department employee. It's been brought to our attention that all these years we've been working with 2 people and that we may need a 3rd person. I'm hesitant to jump into a third person. And maybe it's because I see all the benefits that have to go with that third person, insurances, social security, all that stuff. So I think it would be good to start with a part-time person and see how it goes. And I see, we're just discussing this, so I want everybody else's thoughts. Do we jump into a third person? Do we not hire a part-timer? Do we hire a part-timer? What's everybody feeling here?
What do you mean by part-time?
I think Public Works can use the help. Okay, so like in the wintertime, especially snowfall, just keeping up equipment.
Are we talking on call or are we talking set?
No, set out, set out.
So you're talking 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week?
That's yet to be determined. That's what their discussion is for.
Well, ask them, what's your thoughts?
That's what I would think, start out with somebody who just works 20, maybe 30 hours a week, part-time, certain days. We help with specific jobs that we want more people with, like for instance, the master plan. Like you said, you need more for that, but even cutting down trees, we have trees in the right of way in many of our roads, we'd like to get those cleared out. That's something you really want at least 3 guys for. Because you want one guy to be cutting the tree, you want one guy to be feeding the chipper, and it'd be nice to have guys flagging as well. Because you're cutting a tree within the right of way. You're dropping it right next to the road, or on the road in some cases, so it'd be nice to have someone to stop the traffic for a little bit. As the other 2 guys to start busting the tree out. Also, safety is a big thing in general with 3 guys. A lot more jobs. There are a lot of jobs safer with more people. Like for instance, even patching. Some roads, it'd be nice to have a flagger, one guy driving.
A lot safer than even in the winter for extra driver.
Yeah, extra driver in the winter, and then we could also eliminate the snow blowing and shoveling position. That's here in the winter at the hall. A part-timer could do all that, as well as in the summer mowing the town hall down. So that wouldn't be positions that we have to worry about anymore.
I have been hearing about, right now, ditch mowing. I got 2 complaints over the weekend. And neither one of us concerned us, by the way, they were both on the highway. But I do see that Joe is out almost every day mowing, and that leaves one person to do everything else. So if we had somebody that was part-time that could do the mowing, that would free up one of our full-timers to possibly help do the road stuff. Yeah, that's my thinking, but,
I'd like to raise one issue, if I might.
please, yeah,
With this,
wait,
oh, excuse me,
I'm sorry.
well, I'm sorry, Dick. I could speak,
Noisy in here.
I could shove her in the idea, but I don't know. Thank you. My concern is, and we all know this, the labor market is awfully tight right now. And this idea of a half-time person, maybe it would work, but I think you might have a hard time hiring somebody for 20, 30 hours a week unless there's an old guy like me, and you don't want an old guy like me. You want somebody that can actually get out there and get something done. So, good luck trying to find somebody for 20 or 30 hours a week. Thank you.
Good point. Oh. Trust me, I can use the exercise.
He had a great point.
That's
That
a
was-
very good point.
Definitely one of my worries about getting a part-time. Who are you gonna get?
Well, we could start out and see who we get, I guess. I mean, you never know until you try.
Yes. In my opinion, we are looking at comparable towns to ours with the number of roads we have. It does seem to me that we are well understaffed. There is several safety concerns with where we're at.
Is that because we hire so much stuff out instead of doing it internally?
Say that again.
Is this on? Is that because we hire so much stuff out? Instead of doing work internally, we're hiring Will County, we're hiring,
Over the years? That you're saying that. I don't think it's changed that. You know, obviously you can't do the hire our craft on chips and fire out. There's no way you can do that.
Right.
A lot of stuff you do.
There's some smaller maintenance stuff we could probably keep up on a little more. At the moment, they're pretty busy with just mowing and a little bit of packing and some tree, getting some brush out of the way. So, I think, it all depends on how active the guys are out there too. If they're trying to do more, they're able to get more done. But then if they're trying to get more, and I think the guys we have now are trying to, you are held back by not having the manpower to sometimes double up guys, get three guys. So, and with the prices of road work and maintenance, as much as we can try to do on our own, is the only way we're gonna get
save
to the
money.
point where we are going to be able to take care of it. And I don't think we can do that with two guys. And they're just kind of keeping up with mowing at this point. The pottle patch.
What about entertaining the notion of putting an ad for a third part-time guy and see what happens? 20 to 30 hours a week,
I would put feelers out there and see who you get.
yeah.
You get somebody that wants to only work part-time,
Once you get to that 30-hour average a week, you have to offer insurance.
Okay, so under 20,
yeah,
under 30.
I would say 20 to 25. I would advertise it as 20 to 25 hours.
We have to specify a wage right now? Is that something?
Probably would help you get somebody.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
you're gonna ask that question right away.
yeah, that would be the first thing I would be looking at.
All right, Doug, you know more in public works.
For a part-time guy?
McDonald's pays 17.
Yeah, you're gonna be up close to what they are.
You almost gotta get really close to where they're at now.
17.
Well,
Yeah.
what are our guys at now?
Ah,
To be honest, I don't even know your wages. So.
27 and 26.
yeah.
I don't know that we should.
I mean, I get it.
Now, keep in mind that this will not be a benefit.
Right.
We won't have benefits added on.
I
So,
would say you're gonna want at least $22 an hour probably. It's a lot, but
I was thinking 5 less than.
I'll defer to you guys. I've
I'll
been
be
out of the
honest,
job market.
without the benefits, I'm almost wondering, match theirs, because they don't.
So,
Well,
no,
you're gonna have to have somebody with a CDL though, and you're gonna have a hard time.
you could always use somebody without a CDL, but then they would not be able to drive the plow trucks.
Right, then we're not looking at helping in the winter. Then what
Yeah.
are we having them do?
Sheldon?
Well, then this may be a grooming stage too, right? I mean, if the guy works out and you find you got
Yeah.
more work
Yeah.
for him, then you gotta bring him on full-time, you can't already have him maxed out.
That's, yeah, that's true.
You can't give him a pay cut because you're gonna give him benefits,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
You could put like 17 to 20.
And then see how
depending on
qualified he is.
experience. Unexperienced. Yeah, the guy comes in with a CDL.
Yep.
Then he's worth more than 17.
Yeah, comes in without a CDL, they're worth less.
Right.
And if they wanna stay, work with him.
I don't know what you do with somebody like CDL. That's the problem. You know, if you're gonna do a project, you're obviously gonna get into.
Well, and to address Bruce's concern, we won't put an age, but we can put must be able to lift 50 pounds repeatedly or something.
I would raise them.
You're gonna interview me.
We want at least 100 pounds.
So leave that alone.
Yes, sir. All right,
17 to 25 based on experience.
17 to 23, and that way if something happens in the future that we need to hire him full-time, we can up his wage and give him benefits. Agreeable?
Put it out there, see what we get.
Yep. Motion? Is that a motion, Josh?
Yes.
Okay. Motion hire part-time, 20 to 25 hours, 17 to 23 based on credentialing and experience. Must be able to lift a minimum of, no, do not put that on there.
No.
We'll do that in the job description. I just wanted to.
Okay. All right,
CDL preferred but not required.
Yeah, perfect.
I think a driver's license should be required.
Oh, yeah, they have to, there's no way we.
That should be stated that
yeah, because he could be.
valid driver's license.
Driver's
Required.
driver's license required, CDL preferred but not.
Because it doesn't take much to get CDL tax.
Yes, ma'am.
I think also drug test.
That's a normal, that'll be normal for us to have.
And they get that done quarterly, they get random draws for it.
Really? When is it next?
I don't know, it's random. We didn't get picked this quarter.
Last week. Like I wasn't.
I would just be a little concerned about getting too detailed in the end,
Right.
because as we we're just talking, anybody with that's already licensed as a CDL and you're mentioning $17 an hour is gonna go right over your.
No, we actually have
They're
3
not even gonna look
applications,
at it.
but Bruce is spot on. They're all over me, over my age. And to repeatedly list anything over 50 pounds.
No, I'm talking more on the CDL side of things. Anybody with a CDL is not gonna look at a $17 an hour job. I mean, you're not even going to get them to look at that.
To be honest, I'm not
Sure, if it's a part-time job, they might.
Look at it.
We'll
Maybe
see.
retired person might have some.
Yeah, let's put it out there. You know, a lot of people have, a lot of people have left the paper mill. A lot of people don't want to work in Walmart. They need a job. They don't want to work full-time anymore because they're tired of working. Let's see what they got. Let's put it out there like that. Yeah.
Sue Bite.
We got a motion? Second? Anybody?
Second.
Ryan? All in favor? Aye. All against? Motion passes. All right. Now let's move on to public comment. You guys have been talking all along. You got anything else to say?
Are you asking for public comment at this point on the zoning ordinance? or
No, we're not
just-
that far yet.
Okay, I wasn't sure because.
That's okay.
Okay, then I don't have any.
But if you got anything else you want to talk about, we'll listen. No? All right.
Till we get to the zone.
All right. Class B liquor license, oh, I'm sorry, was there anyone else? Class B liquor license for Archer's Paradise. That was just in a
They have-
separate building, right?
Well, they had a provisional the last meeting.
Okay.
Because it has to
Oh,
post
yeah.
on the paper so many days before they issue the actual license. So this now has met the requirements of the posting, just to approve the actual.
There were no issues last time.
Right.
Make a motion to approve the alcohol license for Archer's Paradise.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Operators licenses, we have one.
Make a motion to approve the operator's license for Robbie Stoplitt at the store.
Second it.
Josh, Roger, all those in favor? Against? Motion carries. Any questions on the bills? See a whole lot of $50 checks. Just so everyone knows, we are now reimbursing, I'm gonna call it the wrong thing. What are they called? Address tiles? The address tiles. So we are in the process of doing that. That's why all the $50 checks are being wrote out. See what else we got. Any other questions?
Are they all, how far are we on this?
They're still coming in, but not quite as steady, so, I
Is there
just,
a deadline on that?
there is, I think, would we do July 15th or something like that?
Yeah, we put it out for a month. So they get a month to get the check, or they get the month to get the letter, they get the letter, they bring the letter in, then they get a month to cash a check. They haven't cashed a check, we consider it void, because we don't want checks hanging out there. And there are some people who actually refuse the job.
That didn't want it.
Yeah, we had one person that came in and said she was afraid that, what was her issue?
I know some people feel that it's gonna affect their property taxes, but it has nothing to do with their property taxes.
So sometimes you can't give away money. What can you say? All right,
Anytime a municipality is offering you money, there's gotta be a catch in there or something.
isn't that the case? Isn't that the case?
No, I
Yeah,
don't want to keep it.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to pay bills.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Chase, pay bills, all those in favor? Against? Pay bills. Okay, and acceptance of ordinance 2023-7-5, the comprehensive plan.
You were
All
gonna
this
go,
verbiage.
you were gonna go back up to item 14, I don't know if.
Yep, we will. We're not to the zoning ordinance, we're just at the comprehensive.
Oh, I'm
plan.
sorry,
You're forgiven.
Now, I believe we made a motion, or did we wait to make a motion?
We did make a motion to adopt this, so it's
Okay,
basically
so-
just signing it.
All we have to do is basically sign.
There was an ordinance that had to be written up, and I didn't have that written up.
Yep.
So now that we're making a motion to accept ordinance 2023-7-5.
Second one.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carried. So we did it again. Okay, now we're going back to the discussion to obtain the mastic pot for Public Works Department. This was a $20,000 purchase plus a $1,000 material purchase, if, we so desire.
It would be optional, but it's on the list.
Did this only come about because we got a possibility to get one at this price?
Yes, sort of. I knew the company, I used them as a subcontractor, and I knew we had equipment, so I did ask him just if it was available. What he would charge for it. On top of that, though, we want to start keeping up on some road maintenance. We're gonna have to start trying to take on more. That in-house, otherwise we're far behind.
We don't have the manpower, so I don't see why we should buy it.
I'm gonna agree, as much as I would love to, town own that machine, we don't have the manpower right now, we're busy mowing, right now, we don't have enough guys to do it anyway. Even if all the ditches were mowed, we were caught up, we still don't have the manpower to run it. Until we find a part-time or something, I can't justify $21 right now. I definitely wanna keep it in mind, in the future, maybe we get a whole bunch of money for those 3 pieces on Census surplus.
He hasn't listed it anywhere yet.
Okay.
So I'll tell him to let us know when he does, but, I don't know if there's rush, it has to be now.
We've got a pile of money in the equipment fund from the sale of those 3 pieces of, and we've got room, you're right,
Ready to buy something
and
that's
we've
sick
got
of
room,
weeds.
we got room in the building to store it, because we got rid of 3.
Just because you got money doesn't mean you got to spend it.
No.
All right. So, Roger, you have any thoughts on this?
I think we hold off on the purchase of the mastic pot until we review staffing and there's a meetings with the other one.
All right, let's take a listen to them.
Appreciate you looking at one.
Yeah, if he doesn't have a list, we'll wait.
It's not listed now, and I do have another guy I talked to about it too, and he told me he had 2 listed that were a little higher in price. So if we were interested, hopefully it would be available, something.
All right, I guess we did that. All right, moving on to the zoning ordinance. Now, I'm gonna make an announcement before we even get started. If anybody has anything they want to publicly say about the zoning ordinance, do so now, because we've had 2 public comments. We want to get through this thing, and the board has not had their chance to review it and have their say, and it's just gonna hold things up, and I know that it's gonna take a long time. And there's a lot of things to discuss because we've done our homework here on this end too. So if anybody has anything to say in regards to the zoning ordinance, please do so now. Sheldon?
So I don't have anything to say directly about the zoning ordinance, but I want to say something about the planning and zoning committee. We've met, I don't know how many times, 4 times, and this is a very contentious subject. I mean, you're talking about people's personal property, the money that they have invested, the place where they live, and the zoning committee, the town can rest assured that they're well represented.
Yeah.
The town can rest assured that they're well represented by the zoning. They did an excellent job, I felt, in listening to not only my point of view, but everybody else that attended the meeting. So that's really appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, I have on your town and zoning chart, under highway commercial, outside storage, none allowed. That's impossible, that's outside storage.
Any chance of page number on that?
He's looking at the chart.
I'm looking at
Oh,
your chart,
okay.
it says none allowed,
Where was that for commercial?
yes,
Okay, thank you. All
highway commercial.
right, anyone else? Bruce, just a sec. Get over to you.
Thank you. First of all, I'm very much in support of the zoning changes. It's, am I not loud enough? There I go. Okay, I'm supporting the zoning changes. I have some reservations about certain aspects, but overall, I think we make progress here. However, I would like to add, before the board or anybody else actually votes on this thing, it really needs a good proofread. And there's and this doesn't have to do so much with substance. I'm not talking about you need to have 10 acres instead of 5 acres or whatever. Just inconsistencies, and I fully appreciate the fact that when you read over the stuff that you have personally written, you can gloss right over errors. They're there, folks, and I'd be glad to point some of them out to anybody that's interested.
I just pass it on to whoever.
Whoever needs.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if Bob's getting updated from this. Apparently not. He asked all the planning commission members to go back through it one more time. And a bunch of these were noted corrections, not all. But, so, there's an updated draft in this file. But it's referring to some of these items, percentages. I don't know what the outside storage was caught, but I know the commercial, there was 5% wrong. There's a bunch of those out there.
The one that was on the website is the May 25th draft. This is our June 15th.
This is the one that he just,
But that's fine when you have.
I don't know if everybody's reading the same sheet, but just rest assured that
the one they have in their hands.
May 25th.
I have June 15th. You got June 15th, because that's what I got.
But the one posted on the website for people to look at, which might have been where the storage comment came from, was from the May 25th. Or that.
Yes.
That was posted before the public hearing. So during the public hearing, we discussed that. It's been edited since. I'm looking at the June 15th, and I don't see any restriction on outside storage.
Where does it say on here?
Yeah.
Well, that,
Which gets 300
I don't see anywhere where it says that outside storage is not allowed in commercial. So that's in the main, what version are you looking at, sir?
Yeah, the very bottom right-hand corner.
There's nothing at the very bottom. No, that's.
The ones on the table are the updated.
Yeah.
That's what you got, you got it all.
So that's
So
what
no,
Lori,
it's-
this is the thing.
Okay.
That's what they're talking about, the big bomb. This is, that's just for outside.
We'll look at that. That hasn't changed.
Oh, you cheated. Yeah.
So quick
They're only
reference.
for.
Okay, we got it straightened out?
Yes, it
Everybody's
has
motion?
been, the ordinance itself has been changed,
Yeah, yeah.
but the quick reference guide, as we want to call it, has not been updated yet.
So they are allowing outside
Yes,
storage?
yes.
In the commercial area,
It-
like along 13.
What are they gonna store?
Campers.
Oh, well, yeah,
It is open source.
I would say that where your outside sales is,
No, we store outside campers for customers in Illinois, Milwaukee, Chicago. We have a business for that. So does all the other RV.
I think what you're talking about is like parts and junk and
Yeah.
tires. Okay, and that is addressed in a site plan. They will get that
Okay.
monitored. So we'll go through that.
yeah, I wasn't, commenting, I didn't
No, that's okay.
think about that
No,
aspect,
that's all right.
but, I mean, if somebody's selling boats or tractors, they're gonna be outside.
That's part of the sales, correct. Okay, so as I said, we are going to go probably another 15 minutes. And I have good reason behind that. Some of the meetings go for quite a long time, and once they go for a long time, your brain gets fried. We have time. Let's take our time, let's get this right. So we're gonna go through it again, pretty much page by page, and then we'll go district by district, okay? So the first thing I have to tell you is that we've all done some, Brian, are you gonna make fun of me now? Don't do that.
You started.
Okay. Guys, play nice. All right, so, the first thing that I did is I read through it, and I have a zoning background and a building inspection background, so I know more about the buildings. And this first zoning ordinance, I helped write. That being said, a lot of that, as you know, or maybe not know, a lot of times zoning is copy and paste from other municipalities who have tried it, it didn't work, or they've tried it, it worked, or their municipality is the same size as yours or the same structure as yours, and you steal stuff. And I use that word very loosely because that's what everybody does, and that's how it's done. If you want an ordinance, let's say you want ordinance to address solar farms. You go, you find another municipality about the same size as yours, you look at a solar farm ordinance, you compare it to what your town is thinking and doing, and then you copy and paste. It's done, communities help each other do it, as a matter of fact. But the reasoning behind it is, why pay attorney fees for something that's already been done, right? So that being said, a lot of this was cut and paste, tried and true. It fit our municipality at the time. Now we have to update it, make it our own for today's date. So going through this, a lot of the stuff that you see in red was changed and then changed back or added. So we're gonna start with we're gonna go right to page 2. I didn't see anything on there that needed to be changed. Anyone else? And I will have to say this was submitted to our attorney. So our attorney has had a review on it. We'll get to that. It wasn't good. Let me just start off by saying what the attorney said. So, you know the main contentious items are the size of the parcels and the setbacks have been changed. So in the zoning world, when you change something that's been in existence for a long time, that means you're leaving behind or you're making non-conforming lots or structures, parcels, whatever you want to call them. So when I looked at this, we're going from potentially 1 acre to 3 acres or 5 acres in some areas. So I'm looking and I'm thinking, okay, how many parcels is this gonna affect that are now in that area that don't meet that criteria? And I got up to 100 and something, and I stopped counting and I thought, I bet you Boz has done this already. So I called Boz, and Boz said, yep, I did that. It affects 400 parcels. I said, do you know what you have to do when that happens? And he says, well, I think so. I said, we have to make a list. We turn it into the county, we turn it into the assessor, and every time something changes on that property, it has to, again, be turned into the county and the assessor so they can keep track of it. Okay, 400 parcels, big job, right? Everybody's got a job to do. I'm okay with that. Then I was sitting there this afternoon about 3 o'clock after everybody was gone, and I'm thinking, wait a second, that's not where it ends. Because when we change the setbacks, we also are changing non-conforming structures. Because some of the structures are now sitting inside that setback area that we said we want to change. So that being said, we can address it in different ways. We can make them non-conforming and then lock it in right there, and you can't move forward on that building. You can't do anything within the perimeters of our current zoning to that building. We can grandfather them. But for what, we would have to determine. So I'm at an impasse here because I'm not sure which way to move forward, and I haven't had time to contact the attorney to find out how we would address that going forward. So those are just areas that I thought about, and it might be a little hairy moving forward, but that's okay. The other thing is there's a few things with the permitted uses and the conditional uses. So probably 7-8 years ago, while I was still a zoning administrator, they changed the law. They passed a law, it's called Act 23. And in that act, it says conditional uses have to be measured. So if you have a conditional use, so you tell somebody, I'll tell you the reason behind it. Bruce, you come in and you say, I want to put up a building that's larger than what's allowed, but I'm really gonna take care of it, and the neighbors are okay with it, and I'm gonna live here forever, so, it doesn't really matter. And we'll say, oh, we know you, Bruce, you're a good guy, we know you're gonna take care of it, and sure, go ahead, we'll let you.
But I'm 77, so it's not gonna give me that.
But then, the next day, Rob comes in, and he wants to do that, but Rob is not such a good guy, because Rob lies a lot, he's gonna build it 3 times as big as he said, and we won't give him the conditional use. Now, in this case, is it measurable? Yeah, because it's a size. But what if it's like a light? So a light shining down on a property, or a noise ordinance, or something like that we can't measure. There are tools out there to do it, but we don't have those tools. So that's why a conditional use has to be something you can measure. You can measure noise, you can measure distance, you can measure light, but we don't have those kind of instruments to do that. So what the state statutes was trying to do was make everybody play fair in the sandbox. If you allow Joe Blow to do it, you better allow Bruce to do it, you better allow Rob to do it, under the same exact circumstances, whether you like the guy or not, whether he has a good reputation or not. So that's how Act 23 started. So when you put something in a conditional use and you say it's allowed or it's allowed with conditions, those conditions have to be measurable, okay? So in striking out conditional uses, you're saying all uses are conditional if it's compatible with the principal use. My interpretation of being compatible may be different than the guy who is coming in for development. So that's why everything has to be spelled out as much as possible. So the attorney had a problem with that one. And he's the guy that we really have to please, because he's the guy that if we get in an argument or a court battle, he's the one that's gonna be backing us. So he has to be able to read this, interpret it, and back us. So that being said, that's kind of where our attorney was. All right, moving forward, somebody did have a
Well, I was
question.
gonna say, where does the grandfather clause come in? Because I thought when I went to one or two of the meetings, they said a lot of the specific things would be grandfather clause, yeah.
You have to pass an ordinance that states that. You have to pass an ordinance to say you're gonna conform, they have to conform to the new zoning, and then you have to list them, and then that locks you in. And I can tell you right now, I bet you half of you in this room don't conform to this new zoning, because your driveways are too close to the neighbor's lot line, or you're more than 9 feet away from your lot line, or there's gonna be a reason, but I'm just saying that we have to figure out how we're gonna address this new terminology, okay, going forward. So that's why I think it's gonna take longer to pass this than we really thought it would. So, going on. Questions on page 4. The only thing that was changed was a camping vehicle. A vehicle, what was struck out is 8 feet or less in width with a collapsible, folding, or rigid structure. And you can read the rest of it. I think that's okay. That makes sense. Going on to page 5. Anybody? Issue? Okay.
More than a lot of us don't have that because of the very, very few copies.
It's online. I can't give you mine because I'm reading all of it.
You can use mine, but you gotta give it back.
Okay.
And which version do you have?
That's the door.
Okay.
All right, on page 6, a definition of a private garage, and it says garage private. It says detached, and then accessory was in there, but it was crossed out. It has to be put back in there because it is referred to back in the later part of the ordinances as part of your detached buildings. It's calculated in your 20%, so you have to put it back in here as an accessory. Does everybody understand that?
You just have to use the verbiage.
It's just, you have to add the word accessory back in when you're defining a private garage, because back in RR1 and RS1, it states that 20% coverage on a lot for accessory buildings, including a detached garage. So you have to be able to,
You said detached garage.
yes, but this is garage private, and a detached would be what they're referring to, a detached building. I guess you could say a detached building instead of, but garage is this, you're defining garage.
Well, there was a conversation about adding another sentence saying a garage can also be an accessory building. Or a detached garage can be an accessory building.
Well, it does say,
I think there was a lot of,
okay,
Josh, there was a lot of
Yes.
discussion on
Like,
this.
why do we have to say accessory building and garage? It's just the building. It's an outbuilding.
yeah, but that's not how you're defining it in the charting, because it's 20% for a detached garage and or accessory building. So you gotta define it one way or the other, not both. So I don't care.
And we went that way because we didn't want folks coming to say, well, this is a garage, this is an accessory building, that's why. it can't be
Right, and that's what you're
20%.
saying in the ordinance, but that's not what you're saying in this definition. So, we gotta clean that up, I know. And I can do that. Next, going on to, 2.43 on page 7, hotel, motel, and lodge. That should stop there, and that blue sentence where it's Airbnb. An Airbnb is considered, okay, that's one of those things I handed out to you guys. By definition, in state statute, Airbnb is considered a short-term rental, and we have to, Airbnb is considered short-term rental, so that should be separate from a hotel motel, because you can stay in a hotel motel more than 30 days, but an Airbnb is limited to 30 days by state statute. So if we had another definition for short-term rental, and say a residential dwelling that is offered for rent for a fee and for fewer than 30 consecutive days, and then in parentheses, we can put Airbnb.
On top
Or
of that
such
also, it does also say and provide usual meals.
Yeah,
And
and
usual
see,
meals,
and
which
so
Airbnb
that,
would.
so cross off the blue under hotel motel. If any of you guys got any comments on the way?
So then we're gonna create another area for short-term rentals.
Just a definition, short-term rental. And then in, after it, there's, you know, what are those that fall? Put Airbnb, such as Airbnb. And Bob added outdoor storage, is that in the new one then? On page 10?
Yeah, it's on
Okay,
2.16.
I just want to make sure I got the one, same one. All right, and then I'm going to page 16. Unless anybody has comments before that. So when you define a district, you should say what the purpose of that district is and why you're defining it to be such. So we have a definition of a rural preservation district. We have a definition of an overlaying district. We have a definition of other districts, but we don't have a definition for RS1 and RR2. So I took it upon myself to write one. So this is what it says for RS1. Realize RS1 is generally around a tight density area. It's the first zoning, or where I live, Ranger Road, Church Avenue. Okay. The purpose of RS1 suburban residential district is established to provide the population density and uses primarily for single-family living, which is expected to accommodate the numerous residential developments already at the density of this district. This district is located consistent with the town comprehensive plan. Any added verbiage or something you don't like? Basically, it says it's at its peak density. It's pretty much developed, and it is. There are some parcels that are vacant, but not much. Okay. And then going forward with that on page 16, we've crossed out a lot of the, I guess while we're here, there's a note of where we're going to allow manufactured homes. In the old zoning, we only allowed manufactured homes in rural residential with a conditional use. So the reason behind that, when we made that statement, was that we were trying to get manufactured homes, or the older verbiage is a mobile home. We were trying to get people to move into manufactured home parks and keep them out of the more populated areas. That's why we allowed them in rural residential, because at the time it was really spread out. So now it's crossed out completely, and I don't remember where they were going to be allowed, if they were even going to be allowed. I don't think they were going to be allowed in any district except mobile home district, which puts them in parks. Is that correct? Okay, I didn't see any other verbiage that allowed them anywhere else.
So can I ask, what is the definition of,
Manufactured home or mobile home? A manufactured home is a home that was constructed by HUD rules after let me read it. I think I took the language right out of state statutes back in the day. A manufactured home, manufactured home, it's a structure built in a factory and designed for long-term residential use, including manufactured homes, homes built entirely, is crossed out. Don't like that, but that's crossed out. In the factory, in compliance with the federal manufactured home construction and safety standards of June 1976, as defined in state statutes. That's right out of state statutes. I don't think we can change that language. Not if we're deferring to state statute. I think we got to put that word entirely back in there.
To answer your question about the manufactured home,
Yes,
right now it's a separate ordinance for the town.
yes,
It's a separate ordinance. Bath has to look at that, do it.
yes.
And my thinking was it's gonna be a separate ordinance.
Yes.
You're saying it has to be part of the,
It is part of the zoning. We have a manufactured home.
correct, but the new ordinance will be a new ordinance. And that new ordinance will dictate where the manufactured home.
Still has to be in here because this
So
is
we
our
have to
zoning.
finish that and then add that back. Whatever the new ordinance says, has to parallel the zoning that we've.
No, I'm saying that you're gonna tell, you're going to, with the mobile home ordinance, you should be telling people how to install it, where it can be installed on the lot, what the age is, yes, basically.
Setbacks, the fees, all that stuff, that's current.
Yeah, the fees, which would be late, but
So
Currently, to get a mobile home permit, they have to come to the board.
well, that's currently to get a mobile home permit, they have to come to the plan commission because it is a conditional use. But that's taken on here. And it's not permitted anywhere in here. A mobile home is not permitted anywhere in here except in a mobile home park. And I'm okay with that, if that's what everybody wants.
I was under the impression that once our mobile home ordinance is revised and established, then we would insert that mobile home criteria into our zone.
So you're gonna update this after we adopt it?
It would be an addendum to that, wouldn't it? Isn't that?
No, you're updating it. You don't make addendums to
Because
your,
we want this to be a living document, right? We want this to be adjustable as.
but you're adopting this as part of your comprehensive plan, so in my world, I think you have to, you would have to, first of all, make the mobile home ordinance, then you would update this ordinance, and then you'd update your comprehensive plan to reflect the changes. So why don't we just decide where we're gonna put mobile homes now?
I thought we discussed that possibly not allowing them. And one of the things Boz mentioned is that you can't say that if there's room in mobile home parks or not, that's deciding.
You can tell people that if you want to bring in a manufactured home or a mobile home into the town of Saratoga, you can do that. But you have to put it in a manufactured home park.
May I ask maybe a dumb question, but nevertheless, my question is this. Let's say you live in an older mobile home, like really old, like it's a lot of them, and you want to replace it, and you are not particularly wealthy. Could you replace your old mobile home, even though it's not in a park, but it's on Church Avenue, or wherever it's at, with a newer home?
No,
Yeah,
not
go ahead.
typically. I mean, with this zoning, you can if you're in RR1. But with the new zoning, you won't be able to. Once you remove it, you're done.
Okay.
I guess I need clarification because that is not my recollection of the conversation with the mobile home ordinance. You know, because we talked about that mobile home ordinance and, you know, when we have to raise the fees by $50 or raise it, something by $10. That's why that mobile home ordinance was separate from this. And I may have been confused, but I thought we were directed to
Okay.
keep them separate.
Put it in this perspective. You're building a house. Somebody comes in and wants to build a house.
Confused, let's talk on that issue.
Well, that's the same thing. You're telling me that, this mobile home ordinance, you're addressing what in that mobile home ordinance? You're addressing the fees?
Well, everything, you know, that old mobile home ordinance that we were given from 1974,
Yeah?
that addresses setbacks, lot size, fees, septic, if it's
Campers.
plugged in, if it's not plugged in, to
Yeah.
a facility.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't that what your mobile home ordinance is gonna address?
Well, I don't know, Lorelai, because we just got it a couple weeks ago.
Well, I'm not sure what we're really arguing about here, but
I'm just confused why that whole piece is being put into here, when that part two is a living document. If we need to upgrade a fee, now we need to go open our comprehensive plan.
I'm with you. Stop, we're on the same page.
Okay,
So what I am asking is where we're putting them. You're asking how we're putting them. So the district, you're telling me you can allow a house in a district. Can we allow a mobile home in that district? That's basically what I'm asking you. We have a district. We have a manufactured home district. That district includes all of the mobile home parks. So according to our old zoning, mobile homes were allowed in the mobile home parks, but they were also allowed in residential area. So is that what we want to carry through with? Not that we're going to put the mobile home ordinance per se as defining what you're talking about
got it.
in here. It's just that I want to know where we're putting them. I don't care how we're putting them. So again, I'm going to ask the same question. Where do we want mobile home? And I'm using that term loosely because I mean manufactured homes. Do we want to just limit them to,
I guess that was the consensus of the board, that we allow them in mobile home parks that are designed for that.
okay, and now,
Am I wrong
just
here, or is that?
to realize we
is that
are
our
talking
discussion?
about a manufactured home, we're not talking about a camper?
No,
we're not
that's
talking-
separate, that's
okay.
separate.
Okay,
For right or wrong, I mean,
Yeah, but
that's the discussion.
manufactured home could be two halves of a home.
That's a
Nope.
pre-built.
that's a modular,
That's a modular pre-built.
a
This is
modular,
a frame, wheels, and a title, and
yeah. But you are correct, they do make mobile homes that come in two pieces. You are correct.
How many active mobile home parks do we currently have in the town of Saratoga? Any?
5 or
4,
6.
5.
Five.
Five.
That's 6.
And the one that is kind of iffy is Kudrowski's, the one that's out. Because that one's kind of a mobile home residential, you know, because that was how it was designed apparently. And there's another one that's kind of iffy, and that's on Kester Road, because it's such an old one and people don't live there. So the consensus is manufactured homes go in the manufactured home district. That's what I'm hearing. Okay. So the permitted uses would be manufactured homes. Do we need a date? So a manufactured home has to be made after 1976. Sheldon?
So I just want to be clear, like in Bruce's example, his house burns down, mobile home,
Yep. He's
or
out.
whoever it is, limited means, they want to replace it with a mobile home, can they get a conditional use permit to do so?
Nope, not anymore. Not according to this new zoning.
I do not agree with that. I'm going on record. That's not.
But realize the only place he could, even if he lived next door to me, and I have one across the street, he has a mobile home there. If that burns down, he can't put that mobile home back there. even with the old zoning, because he's not in the right district. The only place that we allowed replacement of mobile homes was in rural residential, where I used to live on Bell. So on Evergreen, right next door, she wanted to bring in a mobile home, and we allowed her to do that because she was in the right district and it was a conditional use.
Well, why don't you just leave it that way?
That's what I'm asking.
I mean, have you had a lot of trouble with that? I mean,
The only time that we've had trouble is with people, prime example, just what Bruce said. Their mobile home goes to pot and they want to put a new one in. And the biggest area is probably around Saratoga grocery store. There's a few older mobile homes there and they're not in the right zoning area. So even so, if with the current zoning, they couldn't put another mobile home in.
right, but in the districts that they can right now,
Only one.
right, okay, so why would you change that? You're gonna have Saratoga out there unfriendly as hell.
Well,
I,
I'm just saying that the reasoning behind it back then, they were allowed everywhere in Saratoga before we had zoning. And we were trying to phase them out due to, along what Bruce had said, there's a lot of people that just abandon them. They go to heck and then they move away and they just leave them. And then we get rodents and skunks and tall grass and nobody wants to take care of them and the property's worthless. So that's the yin and the yang, so.
Well, and isn't there a nuisance ordinance where you can come in and you can condemn a property? And then
Okay,
you can move forward with.
let me
that,
explain to
correct?
you the process of
No,
condemnation.
just answer my question.
Yeah, it costs $10,000 for your municipality, for every condemnation that you do.
But you have a specific owner of that property or an owner of that building, that mobile, home, correct?
Yep, and if they walk away, they'll say, take the land, it's not worth $10,000. So now the municipality is out $10,000 for the raising of the property, and we own property that we can own. So
That can happen in any home, not just a mobile home.
that's fair.
Boz had used it, and Terry was in on these conversations too. He was, that was kind of his train of thought too, trying to pull this out of the hat. But
Right.
Boz had made mention that there's considerable amount of lots right now that are considering moving mobile homes onto the lot and can't do anything about it. And if that's the way the town wants to go on it, that's fine. That's fine.
I have seen-
An older mobile home wouldn't be allowed in, park necessarily if it was a well-kept park.
Right, they have their own little ordinances within
Sure.
covenants.
Sure. Ages and,
So would it be appropriate to put something about that in here in regards to age of the mobile home if it's getting within or replace the one?
I have seen some municipalities that have put, mobile home no more than 10 years old or something along those. That way it's moving along the time. So 15 years down the road, you're not defining 2010. It's moving along with the date. That'd be something that would be possible if they wanted to leave it in, but keep them more modern, not a 30-year-old.
So when somebody comes in to replace their mobile home, say, yeah, you can replace it as long as the mobile home is less than 10 years old? We can do that.
That would at least keep it in better shape.
I'm just asking, I don't know.
Yes, great.
Reasonable.
Would it be possible to put some provision in there if somebody does have a loss from a flood or a fire or whatever, that they could at least replace that?
We can do that too.
I mean, apparently it was somewhat
major
acceptable
disaster?
in that neighborhood to have one there to begin with. Why should they not be allowed to at least maintain where they're at now?
What page?
5.2.2, item A.
It could be.
You sure you're reading that right?
I don't remember taking it.
5 point,
It was listed as a conditional use, and then it was struck, meaning that it's you can do it. Took out, H, am I reading that right?
no,
You know, look under 5.2.2.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm looking at, maybe I got.
No, this is good.
5.2.
Right here.
manufacturing.
And it's crossed out.
Right, it was you listed as a condition, so we crossed it off, meaning that it's, use.
Page 20,
You can,
doesn't say you can't.
doesn't say you can't do it, you can do it.
No, it's not a permitted use.
Where does it say it's not permitted use?
Right here, here's your permitted uses. It's not listed.
Everything but. If it's not listed down here, it's permitted.
No.
If it's not listed as a conditional use, it's permitted.
So you're telling me that everything that's not listed as a conditional use is allowed in that district?
If you go to any other district, and it's the same thing.
Okay, how about duplex in my district?
Then it should be listed as a conditional use or not allowed.
RR or RS?
RS.
I'm not saying it is or isn't, but if it's not listed as a conditional.
It's listed as a.
I think that would be.
It's listed
That's
as
not
conditional use.
how it works.
Maybe it's worded wrong, but I think it's intended.
So if it's a conditional use, it should be listed under conditional use, not crossed out.
The discussion started that make it a conditional use, and then it ended up, no, let's not make it a conditional use, let's just let it be. Let people do it.
So you want it as a permitted use in rural residential.
Assumed it would be a same definition.
So, Rob, you would be all right to have a mobile home next to you? Okay,
I can see,
it's a permitted use, they don't even have to come in and ask.
pluses and minuses to it. There's one on Evergreen, an old one that's been abandoned for a lot of years, and it's just got bought. And
We actually struck verbiage that said,
You know, mobile homes will bring down your tax, bring down your value of your home, just so you know, as a neighbor.
Can I just, this is
I don't know where it
I have
is.
a question.
Talk loud.
Okay, I will try to talk as loud as possible. I'm
Sure.
not usually loud. But isn't there some way to make it possible for just with trailers or mobile homes that are already there to somehow be replaced by a mobile home, maybe not older than 10 years? Because otherwise the
That's what
person
we're
will
saying.
will stay in one of those dilapidated homes forever.
That's what we're saying
Yeah.
here. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about right now.
So is there any way we can do that? That way,
So instead of bringing new
no
ones,
additional
grandfather the
people.
old one.
Right.
Right, grandfather entirely the old ones, because
Instead of allowing them to come into new districts, grandfather what is there,
they're, and then use your mobile home.
and then put them in mobile home parks after that.
If you do that, then nobody will suddenly have a mobile home coming up next to them. So that's no surprise.
I would add into that, though, the condition of how old the mobile home is if you replace it.
All right, we're gonna stop here. Everybody keep fresh what you said. I'll try to update this a little bit and we'll come back. When can we do this? We have to get this done by August 1st because we have
One
a,
question, will Bosman send these files over, and you're gonna take
yes,
charge of everything?
he's already done that today.
Okay, good.
So if we have to, we are going to be meeting on the 19th for sure. But if we have to, we might have to meet. You're not meeting on the. Okay. Well, the 19th is kind of close. There isn't another Wednesday in the month. Okay, we're gonna meet on the 19th, and if we have to meet after that, it will not be a Wednesday night. That's all I can promise you right now. But we will continue this, okay? And I'll update this and tell you what I've done, and I'll make sure I have 20 copies here. Promise. All right.
Make sure it's on the website too. Yeah, that's it. We're looking and we can't find it.
I found page
Well,
22.
well, it's probably gone.
Under the event.
It was listed under the agenda.
Yeah.
Just so
Yeah,
the
it's gone
latest
now.
copy is
We have to
there.
have that latest copy.
Okay, we'll make sure we have paper copies. I'm old school, I wanna see this piece of paper.
No, you can have that.
You can have that, but I want to go to the website
Okay,
and think that I've actually got the first copy.
sounds good.
Okay. That's fine.
All right, we'll try to get that done tomorrow. We'll talk to John. Okay. Well, let's do it. There we go. We have our IT guy. Girl, lady, mom. All right. So items for future meetings, we just told you, we're gonna work on this. We're gonna work on this till we beat it in the ground. Anybody else have anything they need on the future agenda?
Where did we leave the,
A1.
no, the, Ranger Road discussion? We talked about something with that. Paving.
Oh, for paving. Oh, Doug is gone. We'll put that on,
Well, I just, whether we were, yeah, well,
First put on their discussion.
okay, discussion of Ranger Road. I think I told everybody about the money that we got from. You remember? Or was that shared revenue? The shared-
yeah, sure.
Okay, so we got more money from shared revenue this year than we were expecting because the government decided to give a little kickback to the municipalities. We pay taxes into the government and they gave us some back. And so we want to put it on roads and we're thinking of doing Ranger Road. So it may be a cul-de-sac if we have a little extra.
Which side of Ranger Road?
From Highway 13 back to County Trunk Z, and we actually have to put in a little culvert in there too. So, and then I'm not sure about the cul-de-sac we're doing. We don't normally do cul-de-sacs because there's not a lot of people who live on a cul-de-sac, and we like to get the greatest population first. But some of these cul-de-sacs have grass growing in the road, so we gotta do something with them. So we're gonna address one of those too. I'm sorry, what? We haven't decided yet.
I'm done.
All right, you're not running away, are you? Yes. I'm almost done. All right, set the date, 6/19. I need a motion.
7:19.
Oh, gosh, really?
You don't need a motion.
Okay, no to adjourn.
Oh, make a motion.
You got all the items on the next agenda?
Yes, sir. We got a motion and a second. We, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're done.
And I forget about it, I write it down. And everybody.
All right.